Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk to you about Construction Industry Register Ireland and the new register for builders and contractors. Why have we got a register? Well, back 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, in April 2012, the Minister of the Environment invited the CIF to bring forward proposals for a register of builders and contractors. The CIF then invited all sectors of the Federation to come together under a formal committee structure to devise a system as to how a voluntary scheme for registration of builders and contractors could be effected. So what I'm going to talk to you about today are a couple of key headings: the governance of ciri, who's the register for, how one gains entry to the register, quality assurance checks, consumer protection, shadow economy. I want to talk briefly about the Construction Industry Registration Board, Complaints and Appeals Committee, what information must be sought from members and applicants in order to secure registration, what's required in terms of experience and competence, what their obligations are, and where we are today and what the next actions are. First of all, Construction Industry Register Ireland. It's established and operated by the Construction Industry Federation. It will consist of a Construction Industry Registration Board, consist of Complaints and Appeals Committee, and an Executive and Administration Office. Who is entitled to be registered as a builder or contractor or member of Construction Industry Register Ireland? First of all, it's designed for all construction practitioners, including main contractors and builders who deliver overall projects, specialist contractors and subcontractors who deliver overall projects or elements of projects, and other trades or professions who are engaged by other contractors or subcontractors or domestic clients. There is a requirement for annual registration, so application must be made on an annual basis to secure and maintain registration. A couple of points just in relation to the Building Control Amendment Regulations 2014. There's a reference under those regulations to the appointment of competent builders. Under the Building Control Regulations 2014, the ciri registration number for registered builders is sought on the statutory notices that are filed with the Building Control Authority. The Code of Practice published by the Department of Environment, Community and Local Government for inspecting and certifying building and works quotes as follows. It says that builders included on the Construction Industry Register Ireland or equivalent may be regarded as competent for projects consistent with their registration profile. So various applicants who apply for entry to the register of builders and contractors under ciri will be registered for various sectors, and the Code of Practice for Inspecting and Certifying Building Works adds credence to a registration for a builder under these headings. Who is entitled to gain entry to the register? Well, one must be able to demonstrate practical experience of working in construction, generally for a period of no less than 3 years. They must have a knowledge and understanding of the entire legislative and regulatory context within which construction is practiced. They must have construction services, construction management experience. They have to commit to adhere to an industry code of ethics and member obligations. These are all set out on the ciri website, www.ciri.ie. Persons registered must commit to continuing professional development and ongoing training and development requirements that are set out by the board. And they must have an acceptable record which demonstrates compliance with the regulatory requirements pertinent to the industry. Registered members must only undertake works that they are competent to undertake. They must ensure that any persons employed or engaged by them will be competent to undertake the works for which they're engaged. They'll undertake works in accordance with plans and specifications. They'll cooperate with inspection programs in place. They'll certify that works are compliant with the requirements of building regulations. And if they have any convictions under the Building Control Act, they must notify the Construction Industry Registration Board of those within 20 working days. They must maintain adequate insurances. If standard forms of contract or tendering are not in use, they must submit written quotations for work, clearly setting out the scope of the work, the scale of charges and the payment terms that apply. If the builders are going to use day rates, they must specify those day rates to the end client. And they provide qualities as to quality of workmanship in accordance with the contract. If, for instance, the member of the register is unable to complete a job, he must agree in the name of an individual who can complete the project for him and agree that with the client in advance. He must use all materials in accordance with manufacturer's recommendations. You must respect the client's property and the wider environment, and demonstrate at the end of a project all necessary maintenance requirements or operational features of plant and equipment installed on the particular project. The shadow economy has been a major problem for the industry over the last number of years, and it's incumbent on us all to address the shadow economy difficulties that prevail. And registered members of the Construction Industry Register Ireland must submit a valid tax clearance certificate on their date of application for entry to the register. And if they don't have a tax clearance cert, they will not secure registration. They won't even be presented to the board for consideration. It is a requirement that valid tax clearance cert must be submitted in advance with all applications for registration. Registered members should also include their registered number and registered logo on all development sites and vans in use. They should retain records of all SafePass cards in respect of staff engaged on site, and they must encourage their subcontractors and specialists to become members of Construction Industry Register Ireland. We talk now very briefly about the Construction Industry Registration Board. The board makes all formal decisions on applications for registration. There is no automatic right of any applicant to secure entry on the register, in that he must meet the criteria of the scheme and ensure that he can meet board approval in order for his name to go forward in the register. This board has a chairperson and 10 members, all of whom have construction experience, knowledge of construction industry. The chairperson of the board has been appointed by the President of the Construction Industry Federation in consultation with the Minister of the Environment, Community and Local Government. Of the 10 ordinary members of the board of ciri, one has been nominated by the Department of the Environment, Community and Local Government, one has been nominated by the Department of Jobs, one has been nominated by the OPW, one has been nominated by the Minister for Education to represent third level educational colleges, one has been nominated by the Housing Agency to represent consumers, and 5 have been nominated by the Construction Industry Federation, but only 3 of those 5 can actually be members of ciri. That is, only 3 can be contractors or builders or specialist contractors. The other 2 must be professionals. It is necessary to have a Complaints and Appeals Committee because there must be recourse to any person who is aggrieved by a decision of the board. So a Complaints and Appeals Committee is now in the process of being established, and that will adjudicate on all appeals from applicants or indeed complaints from other members of the public in relation to performance of registered firms. The decisions of the Complaints and Appeals Committee are binding on the registration organisation. What must applicants for registration submit in order to secure registration? Well, they must submit the name and address of the applicant, include a self-description of their activities or building services offered. They must include their registered address of the company, their contact details, their geographical area of operations, their website address, when the company was established, if it's a company, what year it was established, and the contact name and address. And in terms of business activity, there are 7 various profiles that one may select. Are they engaged in extension and refurbishment of buildings? And if so, is that in residential or is it in commercial and industrial? Are they engaged in house building? If it's house building, are they building single houses? Are they building housing schemes, or are they building apartment blocks? If they're in building or main contracting, are they in general building or commercial and industrial? Are they engaged in civil engineering contracting? If they're electrical contractors, they can specify whether they're domestic or commercial and industrial contractors. If they're mechanical, plumbing and heating contractors, again, they'll specify are they domestic or are they commercial and industrial. And then, are they engaged in other specialist trade? Are they specialist contractors? And there's quite a suite of different specialist trades that prevail, because if the builder or contractor is anything from piling and precast concrete contractor to a windows and glazing contractor to a painting and decorating contractor, these can all be listed under the specialised areas on the website. In making an application for registration, one must set out relevant reference projects to reflect each application profile selected. So one must set out a minimum of 3 projects and up to a maximum of 10 to support their application for registration. So they include the description of the project, the information on the project value, scale, location, a reference name, an independent referee, contact details, and start and end dates. And all this information is going to be examined by the Construction Industry Registration Board, who will determine if the applicant for registration has met the criteria in setting out the experience for the registration profiles which he has selected. The applicant must also set out any records of convictions he may have under the building control regulations over the past 5 years, or indeed if he had any records of convictions under previous or other entities within the past 5 years. So this is key information that the board must assess in the context of any application for registration. As I indicated earlier, a current tax clearance cert must be submitted at an application, together with confirmation from the insurance broker or company that insurances are in place. There is a requirement for all applicants to undertake an induction course, which clearly specifies to them what their obligations are on being a member of the register. So any person seeking application for registration must have completed a ciri induction course before their application can be considered by the registration board. What are member obligations? They must comply with the Industry Code of Ethics. And the Industry Code of Ethics will deal with general principles, it will deal with construction practice, legal and regulatory compliance, business management, and integrity and disciplinary compliance. The continuing professional development requirements are being finalised, and the induction programme is essential. The website www.ciri.ie is now live and open to receiving applications from persons who wish to secure registration. The board has been in place since February, and the board has met on a number of occasions at this stage. The www.ciri.ie will be live in May 2014 with live applicants, live registered members at that stage. We require a credible registration process moving forward. This is a credible process in that all applicants for registration have demonstrated their experience to an independent board who are satisfied that they should then be entered on the register. 1 or 2 points in relation to competence. I will refer to the Department of the Environment, Community and Local Government Code of Practice for Inspecting and Certifying Building Works, and they define a competent person. A competent person is a person where, having regard to the task he or she is required to perform, and taking account of the size and complexity of the building or works, the person possesses sufficient training, experience and knowledge appropriate to the nature of work to be undertaken. And there's a reference in the Code of Practice that builders included on Construction Industry Register Ireland or equivalent may be regarded as competent for projects consistent with their registration profile. There is reference in the Building Control Amendment Regulations to ciri. A lot of work has been done to bring the register into reality, but I'm hopeful that a lot of work has been done, more has to be done, but we will have a credible registration process moving forward for builders and contractors. Thank you very much.